Hey everyone, Eamon here. Today I'm going to be taking out the standard humbucker pickups from my guitar and putting in new Kinman P90-buckers and showing you step by step how I did it. So as you can see, I have an Epiphone Les Paul standard. It's pretty much all stock except for at the bottom you can see I have an X-Trem. It's a whammy bar basically. I'll do another video on that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is lay your guitar down on something a little soft so you don't scratch it up. I have chosen some towels on the floor. Not the best situation, but it's basically all I had. It's the biggest space I could do. If you notice, there's also some sheets that are under the neck, and that is to protect the head so that the head isn't leaning directly on the ground. If I have to press down a little bit, I've got a little bit of space before I start breaking everything. The next thing you're going to want to do is take a piece of paper and basically write out what I've written out here. What we're going to be doing with this is we're going to be measuring the distance between the pickup and the strings. So the low E and the high E. And the reason we're going to do this is mostly for just in case. If you put in new pickups and then you don't like them or they're defective or something and you just got to get rid of them and you got to put in the old pickups, then this is just so that you can put the pickups exactly where they were originally so that you don't have to go fiddling around and try to figure out the sound again that you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the piece of paper and we're just going to draw a little line right above the string on the neck pickup and the bridge pickup on the low E and the high E. We can put that piece of paper in a safe place. I think I've already lost mine. And the next thing we're going to do is remove the strings. This is pretty standard. If you have a tool to be able to do this, that would make your life way easier. I do have a tool, but I could not find it, so I had to go with my hands, and that took forever. I would definitely suggest getting a tool if you do not have one. It'll make changing your strings ever just way easier. After you get all of your strings off, you may notice that your nut either falls off or doesn't. The nut shouldn't fall off. There is just a little touch of glue that they put on the nut to connect it to your guitar. And hopefully, in your case, it's still good and still sticks. Mine doesn't. And it's not really a huge deal, but if it does fall out, just make sure you can put it in a safe place and remember which way it goes. Now that we've got the strings off of that side of the guitar, we can go to the bridge side and we can take all the strings out there, pull them out one by one. A lot of hardware here may come loose. A lot of it isn't screwed in or anything. You can just pull it out just by yourself. If you feel comfortable pulling it out and putting it aside, then do that. If you don't, then just be careful, because if it falls, then it may get messed up, and you don't want that. From there, I decided to clean my guitar a little bit, used a little Windex on a paper towel, and just kind of rubbed the face of the guitar. You know, there's a lot of spaces that you don't usually see that just accumulate all your dead skin, I guess, and it can get kind of gross in certain areas, and there's fingerprints, so, you know, it's a good time to just clean your guitar and make it look fresh. Now we can move on to getting the pickguard off. I would say removing the pickguard isn't the biggest deal. It's not super important or necessary, but I just figured I'm taking everything else out. I might as well remove the pickguard, clean down there a little bit, and why not? Let's get it all fresh. With everything off of the face of the guitar, outside of the pickups themselves, we can flip over the guitar and we can remove the cover that houses the knobs on the inside. So if you take out the 4 screws, that's how I have it. A lot of guitars are different. You'll have to see what you've got. With the cover removed, you can see how the inside looks for you. If the inside looks the same as mine, then you're good to go. We can keep going on this journey together. Some newer Les Pauls have a different situation, and I think maybe it's just Gibson. I'm not really sure, but if it looks different, then be sure to look at the manuals and whatnot for your new pickups, and they'll probably tell you how to install with the other situation. Alright, now we can flip the guitar back over to the face, and we can start with removing the pickups. I would suggest starting with the neck pickup. I personally would suggest it because I use the neck pickup more than I use the other pickup. I believe Kinman also suggests doing the neck pickup first. I can't 100% figure out why, but I'm not going to question it. You remove the 4 screws around the pickup, and then you can kind of pull out the pickup a little bit, but you don't want to pull it out too much because it is still soldered on the other side of the guitar. If you flip the guitar over again, making sure that you do not let the pickup fall out and ruin everything, so be very careful on that. But you can go back to the little knob area, and if you just let the pickup move a little bit in your hand, hopefully, then you can see which exactly are the wires that the pickup is using. As you can see, there's 2 of them. Those are the ones that we are going to have to desolder so that we can put in the new pickup. I would say there's a lot of good ways to desolder things, and there's a lot of bad ways, and I sadly had to go with the bad way. It's not great, and I really wouldn't suggest it, but I don't have proper desoldering tools, so this is how I did it. Basically, I took my soldering iron, I put it on the wire, I waited for it to heat up, and then I jiggled it loose as much as I could until it came out. People will probably yell at me for it and say that I'm the worst. That's okay. I'm not trying to do anything fancy here, I'm just trying to get stuff done. There is a method to be able to get the wires in and out of this little shaft way very easily. I am not very good at it, so I didn't do it, but I'll try to explain it as best I can. What you're going to want to do is solder on a wire onto the wire that you already have. And on the other side of that wire, you're going to put a toothpick and wrap the wire around the toothpick. Then, when you pull out the pickup, the wire will follow it, and then on the pickup side you'll have the wire, and on the knob side you'll have the toothpick. The reason this is helpful is then when you're switching in the new pickup, you're going to connect the new pickup's wire onto this wire that you have, and then pull the toothpick so that your wire can feed right into where you want it, instead of having to kind of jiggle around. I went with the jiggle around method. Now that you have the pickup out, you can look at the pickup side by side with your new pickup, and you'll see that there's this case around the pickup actually. And you're going to want to take your pickup out of that casing and put that casing on the new pickup. Now that you have the casing on the new pickup, you can now feed the wire back through the little shaft and into the knob. If you've used the toothpick method, this is very quick and easy. If you use the horrible method, then you've got to do a lot of poking around and attempting and failing. If you're doing the method I used, I would suggest removing the second pickup so that you can get a little bit closer in on the action with the wire, so you can kind of use your fingers and stick it through the right hole. Now with your new wires over in the knob area, you're going to solder those in the same spots that the old wires were. I personally had a ton of trouble getting these wires soldered onto these knobs. I'm not 100% sure the reason, but I have quite a few suggestions of what could have happened. Firstly, my soldering iron is pretty trashy, and I'm pretty sure the tip doesn't actually get hot. And secondly, the knobs themselves have some coating of something on them, and that kind of got in the way for me. I am sure there are better tutorials out there on how to desolder and solder things, so if you want to check those out, I definitely suggest you do it. This is just how I did it, and it took a lot of trouble. Now that you've got it soldered on, you can test to see that it actually works. The way that I chose to do this was to take the guitar very carefully, because I haven't quite screwed it in yet, and plug it in to an amp, turn on the amp, turn up the volume just a little bit, and take a screwdriver and kind of tap the pickup itself. Now the pickup should attract the screwdriver, so there should be a little magnetism there. And also, some noise should come out of your amp. So long as both of these things is happening, your pickup is good to go, and you're all set. The second pickup, you're doing the exact same thing as the first one. Really nothing is any different, so you don't have to worry. The only thing that's really different is that the wire that connects is going to be in a different place, so you have to make note of where those are. Once you've tested both of your pickups and you're sure that they both work, now you can get back to putting your guitar back together, putting the bridge back on, putting the nut back in place, putting the strings back on, putting the pickguard on. You know, I'd probably give it one more clean because you've been touching it all over the place. Now you got the new strings on, and now you can just try to use the thing. Play a couple chords. Does it sound like it's making any noise? Then if it does, you're in luck. From here, you're going to want to play with the heights a little bit. Chances are you're not going to want the exact same height as your old pickups. Whatever pickup you do get, there will be some type of suggested measurement that you're going to want. That's always a good place to start. Personally, I didn't like that at all, and I actually had a lot of trouble getting the pickup to be lower than my strings without it falling out of the screw falling out. I don't really know what was going on. So what I wound up doing was I lowered each individual screw for the pickup and then raised the pickup itself a little higher. That was just the way it worked for me. Then you can just play around and, you know, find where the sound is best for you. And there you go. That's the entire thing. You've got new pickups in your guitar. You can be that guy who goes around and says, yeah, my guitar's modded, man. And you can sound maybe way better than your old pickups because your old pickups probably weren't great. Thank you so much for watching this crazy tutorial of sorts. If you've got any suggestions on how I could be a better person, please let me know. I'm sure there are plenty of ways I could have done this better, and I'm sure your critiques will help others. Stay tuned because I'll be having quite a few more videos on DIY guitar stuff, building your guitar tone a little bit from scratch, a little DIY.